podcast, episode number 121, with myself, Chris, alongside the man of many pixels, Mr. Richie.
Good. Hello, everyone. I
Good
don't know
hello.
what's going to go there. I went for my usual intro for the live stream and got good evening, everyone's like, but I don't know what time it watches, and the show launches at 8 o'clock in the morning.
It does indeed.
So good hello, everyone.
Good hello, everyone, indeed. We are here for your weekly roundup of all of the Stadia and gaming news right here on youtube.com/Helix Cloud Games, or up there in the digital cloud on your podcast preference of choice. It's been a busy week, it's been a crazy week, and we've got a great show for you lined up. We're going to be discussing all of the new game announcements, the roadmaps coming to many, many Stadia titles, some titles that don't even have roadmaps or Stadia listings yet already, a bunch of little interstitial stories as well, plus what myself and Richie have been up to, and some big purchases going on in the world of video games. Plus, magical wishes, Richie. It's a week for wishes, apparently. Because
It is indeed.
We played this last week Rainbow Six Siege.
I wish I was good at that game.
Yeah, that's one of your wishes. See, you've done it. That's one down. See if this episode goes and you can get more and more wishes. Just like the people who subscribe to the channel, like this video, and follow us on social feeds get as well. That's right, you can grant our wish, another one, and follow us on Twitter at Helix Cloud Games, on Facebook. On Discord, you can join us for much, much more Stadia chat than we bring you here every week on the podcast. But Richie,
Yeah.
it's been a good week this week. We've started things off quietly, I would say. We've got a blog post to talk about, amongst other things. We should probably tell the fine folks out there who do tune in and watch the show. I've taken a little bit more Stadia-centric work on this last week. Some of you may have seen if you follow me over on Twitter, or in fact on StadiaSource.com. I want to do something different this year. I've threw the idea around with, I know, you and Tom on our personal chats for a while, but I felt like doing something different this year, and writing articles was one of them. So we obviously keep in the loop with all the Stadia news. We follow it, we try and bring it to the show every single week, and hopefully we'll fill you in on all the information. But I wanted to put virtual pen to virtual paper and do some actual writing. So I reached out to Dan and the wonderful team over at Stadia Source, and I've decided to write some articles for them. So they've welcomed me to the team. It's been great. I've been added to some of their chats, their hotline for the breaking news hotline. And we'll get into, I guess, one of the stories of the week, which was penned by myself. Very excited for my first article. But it was not a New Year's resolution as such, but I always felt like, because we do the news anyway.
Yeah, you know what's going on.
Yeah, I kind of just want to do something a little bit different. I mean, we've done this show for many, many weeks, 121 weeks, if not more, in fact. And yeah, it was just something a little bit, another string to my bow, as they do say. So we'll get into all that. How about yourself? What have you been keeping yourself busy with? What have you been playing these last 7 days?
These last 7 days, I have rolled credits finally on Tales of Arise. I am working on the Platinum. But do you remember before, I don't know if I said it on the show or was it just to you personally, like there's a fishing trophy in that game, and I did most of the fishing. Thought, you know what, I think I remember saying it's not too bad. The fishing's almost kind of fun, even though fish mechanics should just stay out of games unless it's a fishing game. Mm-hmm. I was wrong, Chris. There's one fucking fish that keeps kicking my ass, and I just can't. I'm one fish away from a trophy, and I just cannot catch it. Like, I just don't know how it's possible. I must admit I have played a lot of it through remote play on PlayStation, because I've been sat at my desk rather than downstairs. I need to try this like directly on my to my PS5. Maybe because I think my reactions are not. I'm reacting, but it's like, are my reactions just that bad, or is it a case of the game's not, because that input latency? It's not bothering me at all playing the game, but any little edge I can get, I think I'm going to have to take.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's especially those fishing trophies, they are problematic. Speaking of fishing, I've been doing some more Pokemon. Got a Magikarp there, evolved into Gyarados this week, which I was talking to my wife about. Obviously, doesn't care at all. Trying to show off how cool my Gyarados is. The first thing she does is looks at it and goes, "Isn't it pronounced Gyarados?" I was like, no, it's not.
It's Gyarados, and no one knows why.
But then I was kind of looked at it, I was like, I kind of get where you've got that from. But yeah, didn't care about how cool it looked, because you had to use the Magikarp and flailing around for ages to get the damn thing to evolve. So
well, you don't now with always on XP. You can just have it on you.
It was a lot quicker. I think level 20 or something I got him to evolve. But
I mean, I've been playing Pokemon Shield as well, and we were saying before the show, it's like, I'm just constantly over-leveled. I don't know. I don't think it's just the XP share. I think the level balancing is off in that game now. I think you just seem to be getting too much experience too easy.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm grinding through every single area like I used to in Pokemon games. It's like, by the time I get to the new town, I'm like 5 levels ahead of the gym.
Yeah, I get that. If only life was like that.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Every objective you get to, work-related, friends, career, relationships, it was just like, you're already so leveled up, you can just power through it with absolute perfection. What else have I been up to? I've played some Overcooked. A little bit more Overcooked on the PlayStation. I played some 100 Days, which we'll be talking about as part of the news, on Stadia as well. A few games of FIFA, just kind of dabbling around. Now I finished Kena and I'm waiting for the Uncharted to come out. I'm just kind of jumping around. So obviously we played Siege in the week. I'm excited to play Extraction later this week. I've been watching a couple of videos and gameplay footage of it, and the fact I think we did so bad this week on Siege versing real human beings. I think the fact that we're going to be versing alien AI in like the little pods and all the different types of enemies there are. I'm much more confident taking down like clusters of virtual enemies rather than real human beings who apparently are amazing sniper elite warriors themselves.
Yeah, that was a shot and a half. The one that killed you.
It was indeed. And if you've not checked it out, it is available on YouTube. It's a short. We put out our first YouTube short because everyone in the content creator space keeps telling us shorts are the way to not only enjoy a lovely summer holiday, but also to raise your content level, get people out there, just like you can help us do by sharing. As I said, tag us in posts every week, like us, rate us on Spotify if you're listening on podcast services, give us a rating, helps more people find better Stadia content, because there's not many of us Stadia creators out there anymore. It does feel like we started the year, it's been quite quiet, but yeah, we know hundreds of you listen and watch this show every single week. Do share all of your favourite creators' content, because it helps them kind of thrive and grow and find new audiences and expand a little bit more. Rather than become stagnant. So it only happens by the magic that you guys bring, because this show is all about magic, Richie. Wishes, genies, and the like. But before we dive into the meat and potatoes of this week's show, we want to do a special shout out to our members, of course. You can support us a little bit more by clicking join over on YouTube, and from as little as 99p you get access to fancy badges in the chat to use. You get little icons next to your name that represent all of the colours of the Stadia controller. More importantly, though, you get access to our SideQuest episode up to 6 days early. And the reason I bring it up, Richie, is because last week we covered off why Stadia need to lock down WB games on the platform. It was a fantastic conversation. You had to reel me in and stop us going well over the 40-minute mark, because I would have.
Yeah, the longest side quest. I think it's the longest side quest we've ever done. Like, we need to be a bit more on top of that.
It happens when you're passionate about something. It happens. And this week, I'm super excited to jump into the next topic, which we're going to probably see a trend over the next few weeks. We're going to be looking at Square Enix and why Stadia need to lock down Square Enix for 2022. Yeah. It's going to be another passionate one.
When we say lockdown, we don't mean purchase them. We mean like get their games on the platform.
Yeah, get them locked down on the platform. And the extra reason I wanted to bring that up for our fine folks out there, not only do they get it 6 days early, Richie, but it's also episode 50. I think we should do a special, not celebration of it, but
I don't know. I think we'll wait for 52 because it's a year of SideQuest.
That is true. I like the number 50 though, because it's like rounded.
Yeah, 50 is a nicer number, but
see that downplaying already. Yeah. But yeah, you've been the host of that show for 50 weeks as of today.
49 weeks because I skipped one.
Oh, you did, didn't you? Yeah. Oh well, we'll overlook that. We'll overlook that. But yeah, it's no mean feat. Obviously, we got rid of the post-show, pre-show SOS podcast one, and we repackaged it to talk about specific topics, and it's been great. I love doing SideQuest because it allows us to go off the beaten path, as you would say, and explore a video game topic in a much deeper guise. And so last week WB Games, this week Square Enix. You can get it right now if you're listening to this show on a Monday. It's available now. You don't have to wait till Friday for all them free feeds. You can get it right now. So check it out. We do appreciate all the added support, of course. But Richie, we're here to talk about gaming news. We're here to talk about granting wishes. So let's grant somebody's wish out there and get into the
super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka the news.
The news. Great news week for you fine folks out there. Lots of gaming stuff going on. Purchases, games, updates, acquisitions, all of that crazy stuff happening. And let's kick things off with story number 1. We had our first Stadia community blog of the year, which seems crazy because it's like the 16th of January now.
Yeah.
And it feels like it was a long time coming because they obviously dropped the pro games for January quite early in December. Probably the earliest we've ever had them.
I think this was probably planned. They probably made sure the pro game announcement went out before they went on Christmas break.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've probably been back a week before this blog came out. So the timeline kind of makes it feels a long time. But if you think about them, they've probably taken off a couple of weeks over Christmas break.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah. And let's face it, if we all think about our own lives, how January is the longest month possible, because if usually you get paid a little bit early, you have some time off, the weather's dark nights, dark days, it's always a bit confusing for your brain. Like, I can't believe we're only halfway through January already. I have no money left.
It doesn't feel that this January so far doesn't feel that bad for me. I didn't go nuts over Christmas. I didn't bankrupt myself.
Hang on a minute. Didn't you also put a holiday in for every Monday, so your weeks are only 4 days long at the moment in time?
Yes, I did.
So then anything you say to the common worker out there,
but it feels like we're the 16th of January, but it feels like I'm back at work now, but I'm just kind of like getting back in. I think the first week back, like, I hadn't seen my manager in over a month because I was ill, then she was ill, and Christmas breaks and stuff. So like, things hadn't really picked up yet, but they're starting to now. Like, I had a busy week this week.
Good. Well, just like the Stadia team did, they got in and they dropped some news across the board. We'll just skim through it because the reality with these blogs is now they only do them bi-weekly. A lot of the news that is covered, we've already covered. So the stuff we're going to go through, we'll quickly just recap what is in it. So, of course, they introduced us to which I will get into. They titled it New Year, New Games, and then didn't tell us about any new games. So I'm a bit particular about the choice of words for the opening of this blog. But without going too much into it, they gave us an update on games going free. PUBG, of course, is now free. The Far Cry 6 DLC with Pagan Min, which we covered before Christmas at the time of the year. I can't even remember myself. The Stadia Gaming Hub news from CES, which was announced, and all of the kind of functional with smart TVs in the 2022 lineup and beyond. They recapped the Stadia Pro games. Great, they're still out there. Go claim them. Go play them. And then, yes, they said they ended it, I guess, kind of with a new year, new us, which is an interesting subheading. We want to hear from you. And I think the big thing everyone took away from this blog was, yes, the fact that new year, new us, we want to hear from you. And I'll read directly from the blog. As we kick things into gear this year, we wanted to check in with you, our beloved Stadians, to learn what there is and what you want to see from this week on Stadia. So specifically about the blog, which I don't think everyone factored in when they went ahead to do the survey. Sound off in the survey here. They give a link, and then, yes, you can go and fill out said link if you want to. And the kind of biggest thing, I guess, from the survey, aside from the usual questions we know to expect, was the very last one asked about if you had 3 Stadia wishes, what would you go for? So, Richie, did you fill out the survey? I
did.
You did? Fantastic. We should point out, I guess, a couple of other questions. How often do you read the blog? How often do you play games on Stadia? How are you generally notified about updates on the blog? What subjects are you most interested in learning about? What type of updates interest you on the blog? So again, it's very blog focused, but then I think a lot of the community focused in on this last question, which was Stadia has granted you 3 wishes. Talk to me about your thought process for this survey.
Well, I think generally, I think most people kind of, if you're in the Stadia community, you probably appreciate the blog is there. It's a way of getting your news if that's your main way of you getting news about Stadia. Personally, I usually go for places like Stadia Source, Cloudy for Chance of Games, other sites, because we have to pull together a show every week in the news. Mm-hmm. So the blog, to me, is usually old information by the time it comes out. But there again, I'm not a typical use case. So all the stuff about the blog, I don't care that much about. The 3 wishes, I only actually give 1 wish.
Ooh.
I explicitly only said I'll use all 3 wishes on one thing.
Oh, you're supercharging your wishes.
Yeah. Like, it's like, well, if I got 3 wishes, I'm asking, because mine's a biggie what I'm asking for.
Okay.
And that is all the AAA third-party games to come to Stadia this year. Wow. Because that, for me, is by far the Achilles heel of Stadia right now. Because in order to get more people on the platform and to maybe there's a lot of people getting very kind of cold feet with Stadia. I've seen a couple of people on Twitter and on Facebook recently saying they're worried about buying games on Stadia because of how little's coming, how little Google outwardly seem to be supporting Stadia.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to see this, like, people going, it's coming to an end. So for me, in order to turn that round, they need to be getting the games on the platform, and then those who like it's good tech, but the things I want to play aren't here.
Yeah,
don't have that argument anymore, and I think you could get some breathe new life into the platform. And literally, if it's third party and it's AAA, it needs to come this year.
Yeah, I think we're both in similar agreement. We've got similar tastes in games, and of course we do a weekly show together. So why wouldn't we be in a similar vein?
We actually talk about this quite a lot.
I mean, it makes sense because again, it's not only we want to cover news, and if there are no games coming, what do we cover? But then again, we're so passionate about the industry as a whole, and we do play on other platforms. We can see how they function and how they work. And so I'll go through my 3 as well. I did 3. I did break them down. They're available to read on Stadia Source if you want the full breakdown. But off the back of last week's SideQuest episode, WB Games, number 1, has a huge year ahead of it. An Arkham Knight running on Stadia tech kind of gives a little inclination. But yes, Stadia games, Gotham Knights, Lego Star Wars, Suicide Squad, Hogwarts Legacy would be huge for the platform. So that was my kind of one wish. Rather than commit to all AAA, if you can just give me one publisher, and again, there's a whole side quest last week. Go look it out if you want to hear my full breakdown.
I went with all AAA because it's a wish, and actually, one of the reasons I went with only one wish instead of 3 is I didn't want to dilute that by going, I want you to improve the Explore tab, or make some filters into my library and have to get them going. Go, look, we'll give you 2 of your 3 wishes. Like, you give me the inconsequential ones.
He's a search bar. Yeah, that was someone's wish for 2021. My second one was the return of Stadia Connects. In 2022, or have some presence at key game industry events, because skipping E3, Gamescom, Game Awards for another year just cannot happen. It can't happen at all. Like, you can't just shy away from the industry that makes your game platform relevant. If you're not there, you just become irrelevant because you're not part of the conversation. You don't make friends if you don't try and talk to the people who you go to school with. You just end up being the outsider who everyone forgets as soon as they leave school. Yeah. You can't be part of it,
I think the way to sum it up is Stadia had a niche, but that niche is declining because they're not staking the claim on the niche.
Yeah, they don't acknowledge
They're just
Yeah. Which
anyway,
again,
back to your wishes.
We've covered weeks, Third wish, final wish, a roadmap for the year ahead. That's right, folks. The roadmap train is back, and I feel like it needs to be back more so than ever, because as listed in my previous wishes, if these titles are coming, then tell us about them, shout about them, like scream the importance about them, whack your logo on them, because I know in the past we've had people in the comments say, like, why do you always go on about roadmap? And it's like, because I'm a consumer first and foremost. Yes, I do a podcast, but I am somebody who spends my hard-earned cash on this platform, and if you don't give me a reason to look forward to spending my money, then I'll go spend it elsewhere. Like, that is the truth of the matter.
What's important as well about roadmap is you're telling your consumers, those invested in your ecosystem, what's coming, why you should be excited in this platform, and then those people are getting cold feet, which it's happening. They'll be reassured.
Yeah, completely.
Where it's like, I have a PlayStation 5. If a game comes out on Stadia versus PlayStation 5, in the past I'd probably gone, you know what, I'm probably going to go Stadia. Now, I don't know. I've leaned probably more towards getting the game on PS5 now than Stadia.
Yeah, I would too. I've said so for a while. There's a lot of titles that, especially with like other reasons, like Ubisoft games, I buy a lot of my Ubisoft games on PlayStation because I get Ubisoft points discount, which saves me about £14 on the gold edition of whatever game Ubisoft put out.
Yeah.
So there's a monetary reason. There's a like I said, Richie, that cold feet reason. So as we sit in the month of January with an entire new 12 months ahead, which we know very little, it is important as a business that they tell us about what the future holds. And
it's like,
just look at marketing. Like, every company on this planet does some form of marketing, whether it's through advertisements. And what are advertisements doing if not promoting your product? It's literally a roadmap of what if there's a sale on at your local clothes shop. or your supermarket.
The thing is,
that's what they're telling you. They're telling you about what is the reason to go there.
Ads are one of the things everyone universally hates them, but they actually do serve an important function in a lot of cases. Like, it's why we enjoyed the Game Awards. It's why we enjoy E3. We know it's just like the Game Awards is a 3-hour-long advert.
Yeah.
Indeed. But you're advertising things I'm passionate about, things that I might want to engage with in the future. So I want to see what's coming.
Yeah, we do indeed. And that's kind of what a lot of this week's news pertains to, is we've got some information dropped for games, but we don't have any confirmation on Stadia or not yet. So before we move on to the next story, I do want to just touch on a couple of other people. So part of the Stadia Source team, they ran an article basically covering other people's. I just wanted to quickly run through a few of them, Richie, and just get your quick hot takes on what you think, if these are reasonable or not. So Andrew, or also known as Blue Bobs from the Stadia team, he says a Gen 2 release ought to be told when is going to be a planned release. So next gen hardware is also a big topic for a lot of people, with GFN, GeForce Now bulking theirs up. What do you think?
I agree with them. Improving the hardware could be useful. I don't think it's anywhere near the biggest problems. And I've also been on record and still hold to the fact that I don't think there will ever be a formalised Gen 2 Stadia. You will eventually get that level of hardware, and they probably won't even tell you about it.
Imagine if they just... I mean, without going too... This will probably be a topic for another day, or a side quest, in fact, but... Yeah. There is probably a chance that Google are thinking about folding Stadia into YouTube Gaming or something, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Gen 2 announcement in line with a total rebrand, and they just dropped the Stadia name completely. So it's YouTube Gaming Online or something like that, and then and also it's got these hyped up better features. But again, we'll put a pin in that one, I think, because that could be its whole thing. Andrew also says an annual subscription to Pro with a discount,
I like which it's absolutely reasonable. It's something I've been calling for since day one. Not loudly. It's not something I've been going, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. But I think if you go back to some earlier Sounds of Stadia podcasts ago, I'd like an annual Pro subscription, because I can just pay once and then forget about it.
Yeah.
And it's good for Stadia, because that means you're getting all the money up front from Pro for the year, and then people in the ecosystem, you're committing to the ecosystem for an entire year.
Yeah.
Where a monthly thing is going, don't like these Pro games, cancel, and then you don't go back.
Yeah. It's similar to a lot of sports teams when they get the season pass holders up front. They give them a special discount, you get your season pass, and then they are committed, whether they go or not, to the whole season. And
you've got the money.
You've got the money.
You'll probably arguably you earn less money per person doing it that way, but you guarantee the income.
Yeah.
And also, crucially for Stadia, you guarantee them at least being involved to a certain degree in the ecosystem, in your ecosystem, which is what you want.
Indeed. And his final one from Blue Bobs, we've got a direct YouTube streaming edition, such as overlays and webcam support.
As a streamer, I don't particularly care about this at all, because I have solutions to that.
Yeah, we have.
Personally, I don't. I think it's a good idea. Improving your streaming. If they took something like OBS, if they made a partnership with OBS, put OBS's technology directly into Stadia, so you had the full customizability, so you could just log on to Streamlabs or OBS, create your overlays on the PC, and bang, they can direct stream immediately on Stadia. That would immediately make Stadia the best platform to direct stream from. Yeah, because direct streaming is limited on every platform apart from PC, where, well, you don't really direct stream on PC.
Yeah, I think direct streaming has a long way to go yet, but in a world we live in where kids in school now don't want to be a policeman or an astronaut, they want to be an influencer and a streamer. This is the kind of best entry point in the door. Direct
streaming for me is a good way to dip your toe in the water.
Yeah.
Before you're comfortable enough having a camera in your face and a microphone in front of you, and spending the money on the PC so you can like properly encode streams and design your own overlays and all the stuff that we've learned over the last 3 years. Yeah, it's a good way of testing the water. But that's all it is for me at the moment. Like,
indeed. Speaking of testing the water, then let's dive into some more. Dan Wheeler, head honcho over at Stadia Source, also known as X2I on Twitter. A throwaway one, I think, at first, Dan. Sonic Mania, need I say more?
Yeah, have it.
I'd take that. Secondly, he does say some more kind of big titles. He said, as much as children's games are always welcome and different styles and stuff as well, he does make a point of saying Call of Duty, Fortnite, GTA, Fall Guys, Rocket League, Minecraft, etc. Need he go on, Richie? Will this be the year Stadia bags one of these big free-to-play heavy hitters? Will it be Warzone, Fortnite, Minecraft? We can't go surely another year where we only loiter around with PUBG. Is the only big free-to-play in the world.
GTA, I think, is on the cards. I don't know whether it's going... Because there's been a couple of accidental leaks or information dropped of information about GT5s online, like currency being available to purchase on Stadia. GTA, not GT. So I think GTA 5, with the next generation version, when that finally drops, is on the cards. I don't think it's a guarantee, though.
Yeah.
You don't know whether it's sort of something like these leaks have happened when someone's that it's been talked about, someone's got the wrong information, and then put it on and go, no, pull that, we didn't go ahead with it, or is it just a case of waiting for when the next generation GTA 5 comes out? If Stadia's there, it's there, great. If not, I don't think it's coming.
Yeah, I think this year, depending on how deals go, I'd imagine we're probably more likely to get something from either EA in the form of Apex Legends potentially, or hopefully whatever Ubisoft are working on. I know we didn't get Hyperscape, not that matters anymore, but there's those little free-to-play games. Just look on PlayStation right now. I don't know if you've heard of a game, Deep Rock Galactic, I think it's called. You basically go as a team of three dwarves into a mine, and you mine resources and you shoot aliens and stuff who attack you in the mine, and you all pull out, and it's super cool. It's got 10 million concurrent players at the moment, and it's free on play. It's huge, and I've looked at it, and I'm actually really keen to jump on with you and some of our other friends and play it. It looks super fun. Dwarfs in a mine, mining while killing bad guys with assortments of weapons, bombs, and mining equipment. It sounds super fun. And that's just one of them games that it's just got such a pull. And like we had Fall Guys and Among Us, and Stadia missed out on it all. And I think that the marketing team or Google need to do some groundwork behind the scenes to see these little gems hidden in the rough to get out.
Things like Fall Guys and Among Us. Among Us was came out a couple of years before it went huge.
Yeah.
Fall Guys, I don't think you can predict how that game like that's going to go.
So PlayStation seem to have a pretty good record. Rocket League, Fall Guys.
Yeah,
Deep Rock Galactic.
To a certain degree, I think you can sit down and go, objectively, this is a good game, it's fun to play, but then it comes out and no one plays it. I think that's the problems with these smaller titles. So that's hard. It's hard to get. You mentioned Minecraft before. I don't think Minecraft's coming.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think you will see Minecraft launch on any new platforms. I think Microsoft have almost an obligation to sustain it on platforms it's already on.
And it works for
them. But there's no reason for Microsoft to put it on Stadia.
No, you're completely right. You're completely right. Same with, again, it's probably going to be another SideQuest episode, but do they need to lock down Bethesda? Because let's face it, they've kind of started to come out now and say about the future games like Starfield won't be coming. But they've not said anything about other platforms.
It's not currently on my list of publishers to look into because of Microsoft owned. Yeah. And I think their episode would largely, from my point of view, is it coming? No. Is it coming? No. Is it coming? No.
Why?
Because it's Microsoft owned. Why? Microsoft. That's why it's not on really my list.
There you go,
we might do it if we're short, but there's the episode of SideQuest.
Yeah, we'll just do it as a short. We'll do it as a YouTube short. No. SideQuest episode 50.1. 0.5 done.
We should actually push that as a shot.
We could. Yeah. We'd probably get more shit though than it's worth making it for. Negative video. Anyway, let's back to some positive stuff. Carly from the Stadia Source team, also known as Scarlett. Stadia merch, no surprise. Of course, makes all the wonderful merchandise over at Stadia Source, which they granted me, Rich. You can see it there. I've got a little GSN mug now.
Oh, nice.
Send me a nice little gift. Was
that because you're a staff?
Yeah, and it was part of a Secret Santa thing in January, but I'll accept it. It's lovely, it's very thoughtful. Stadia merch, and Scarlett follows that up with saying, you don't realise how much I like socks. Socks are great. I'm wearing Christmas Nutcracker socks right now.
So actually, I think socks are a good bit of merch, because if you're kind of a bit of more of an introverted gamer and you don't want to be like full-on gamer stuff, so a lot of gamer merch is like full-on, and I look at it and go, no way in hell. It's too much. It's like... Where socks, you could rock some crazy socks and no one would know. You'd be happy because you're wearing them.
You are completely right. I catch my eye. So I have a Pokemon t-shirt. It's like mustard yellow for Pikachu.
Yeah.
It's got the tiny little Japanese symbol for whatever, Pikachu possibly, and it says 25, and it's got a little silhouette of him just there on the breast.
Yeah.
But guess what's on the back?
T-shirt
Guess what's on the back?
It's
like a
massive
massive motif of Pikachu jumping out. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to wear that out in the world.
I don't like designs on the back of t-shirts. Like
you
on
don't
the front,
see them.
you can. Yeah, that's the point. Like on the front though, if someone's looking at your t-shirt, you can tell. On the back, it feels like eyes on the back of your head. And like, nah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I'm wearing a pretty awesome t-shirt right now.
You rebel scum.
Yeah, but it's like this is one where I can get away if I zip on my hoodie. I'm just wearing a black t-shirt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like, but it's like I don't know. Like I've seen some gamer merchants who's got that is horrendous.
You know what though? That she's not wrong in terms of merch.
Yeah.
Because
I
popped to our local supermarket yesterday, and Xbox and PlayStation are going hard. If you go into many shops and supermarkets in the UK, we've got Primark, Tesco, Next, especially leading into Christmas. They did everything from like PlayStation mugs, alarm clocks, Xbox pajamas, Minecraft PlayStation stuff.
I've got a set of PlayStation coasters that you bought me as a moving in present.
Yeah, it sells. It's stuff again. It's a physical presence. So yes, I would love to get like Stadia stickers, glow sticks. Like we've got these from our little packs.
We do.
Oh yeah, but yeah, just tiny little Stadia pin badges and stuff. And it's just something physical. When you've got a platform in the cloud, giving us something physical to have will probably go a long way to just like
it's
selling
money it's money coming in from that platform, which is always going to be a good thing for that platform. There's a reason why Sony and Microsoft do it, because they make money and that can help sustain your platform.
Yeah, and it's a cheap outlet as well. You just whack a logo on something and hit print.
And you know what?
It's harder than that, but
as much as I don't like over the top gamer merch with like massive logos and ridiculous stuff everywhere, some people do love that stuff.
Yeah, they really do. Hey,
Richard, so do both.
PlayStation
make some more subtle stuff that, as me as a 32-year-old man, wouldn't feel uncomfortable wearing under a hoodie as I'm walking through my local town centre. But then make something really garish that you can tell from a mile off. That, like, I don't know, a 13-year-old would love.
That PUBG hoodie.
Yeah.
That's right, red and yellow Stadia PUBG hoodie. But yes, let's see if we got any final ones. I'll pull one out from Lee as well, just to round that out. Better communication, which I think kind of harks back to my point as well. That they need to. It's not just about the blog, which I know that the survey, the 3 wishes being granted, is about the blog. But I think a lot of people's worry is Grace has moved on to a new step in her career now. We know we're getting the blog every other week. We've not heard from Phil Harrison in well over a year now. They haven't been at any events. They don't host any things like Good Stuff or Hangout events.
We don't know what's happening till it happens.
Yeah, which is a weird place to be in when you're looking forward to like the year ahead and thinking, ooh.
As a consumer, it's an uncomfortable place to be in.
Yeah. Again, to go back to sports analogies, it's currently the January transfer window right here in the UK, the Barclays Premier League. Us two, for our sins, both Newcastle United fans.
Yeah.
And we're sat here every day. I check BBC Sport News and please tell me who we're bringing into this squad. Like, where are you spending the cash? And it's a perfect mirror of Google Stadia. They have all of the money in the world, just like Newcastle United do right now.
And when you see a story like take Kieran, not to go into sports too much here, take Kieran Trippier as like, as that story's written, I thought first of all, I was like, why would he come to Newcastle from like Atletico? They're in the Champions League. Newcastle are fighting the relegation battle. It's like, as more and more like reputable journalists go, no, this is in advanced talks. They're getting there. It's like the player wants to come. It's like, really? He's coming? Yes, come on.
And obviously there is an element of money that comes into it. So again, the year ahead, Google. Yeah. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm sure Stadia has a set budget acquired from them, but at what point did Alphabet just commit and go, you know what, Stadia team, Phil, I know you've been gone for the last year or so. He's X amount of millions. It means nothing to us as a company. We make that much in a day, if not more.
Yeah.
There you go. Make it a thing. And again, it's just the lack of communication or the roadmap to bring everything full circle is, I think, Games are awesome, but we want to hear about the games rather than just a fancy stealth drop on a random week in February. So, but yes, let us know, more importantly, your wishes in the comments below. You've got 3, or you could just bulk them all together like Richie does. And give
one mega wish.
One mega wish. But yes, really, really do let us know. We'd love to stimulate some conversation out there. What are your big hopes for the year ahead? And what, more importantly, are your wishes? And we'll see. Well, hopefully some of them, if not all of them, will come true in the near future. The only point, Richie, really from the blog that we kind of probably haven't covered on the show is Embr had some updates. They brought up the free Hosr content, which is essentially if Among Us met Embr. So you are locked in a house with 4 players. It's on fire, of course. That's Embr in a nutshell. One of you, however, is a saboteur, and they are there to keep burning the house down by planting bombs and traps. And
Did they call it a saboteur and not an arsonist?
I mean...
Because literally there's a word for that.
I mean, yeah, at the same time. So you have to vote on who you think is setting the bombs, setting the house on fire, going rogue as such.
We need to play that, because Ember's fun.
Embr is fun.
This sounds like there's a good stream in that by the sounds of it.
Really. So you've got, you have to vote before the house burns down and blows up, and you've got to get the civilians out of the house again. So yeah, we'll probably jump back into that. But yeah, it's free. It's a new mode. It's called Secret Hosr. I really don't understand why they take letters out of the title for Embr. Hosr. It's Hosr without the E. It's Embr without the E. It's a thing. It's a thing. But either way, that was the only real news as the blog post as far as the games went. So moving on then to story number 2, Richie. Story number 2. IO Interactive, and I'm reading straight from an article from myself. So reading from Stadia Source, your number one source for Stadia news and reviews, penned by new writer Chris. IO Interactive, the team behind Hitman, the upcoming Project 007, just revealed new content and game modes coming to Hitman 3 throughout the year ahead. Starting off, they announced the Elusive Target Arcade, taking the concept of being an assassin to the next level. It's a new mode, Richie. It mixes up, essentially, it gives you a bunch of elusive targets, and they stack. So rather than just do one mission at a time, you kill one, it leads on to the next. You kill another, it leads on to the next. And the way they're making it land with a bit more importance is if you fail a mission, the whole game mode is locked down for 12 hours. So it adds that extra element of if you mess up, you've got to come back and try again much later.
I'm not sure I like the 12-hour lockout thing, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't really either. But it's the consequences of you messing up.
I could understand it almost like an arcade mode when you kill one. You finish one target, then another one comes, and another one comes, and it's almost like you're building up a score.
Yep.
And then you have leaderboards, and you could do it that way. But just going, if you make one mistake and your target gets away, or you do something stupid, then okay, well, there's my night of gaming done.
Yeah, I can totally see how it would put people off, but it depends how much you are into being a hitman, because again, it's just one element of the game. It's not really the whole game, so it depends how probably good you are at the game, but then how committed you are to being a pure assassin. Because we tend to get carried away and just go balls out, guns blazing at the end of it.
Yeah, I'll try to play seriously. I'll mess up because I'm not very good at the game, and then I'll just go embrace the chaos.
Yeah, exactly. But luckily, that wasn't the only thing that's coming on.
I like the concept. I don't like time locks in my games. Sorry, just don't.
No, I'm the same. At least Richie, the saving grace. It's not monetized. Pay 99p to unlock now.
Not monetized yet.
No, it won't be. I don't believe IO.
I don't think they will.
But that is coming 20th of January. Later in the spring, they've also announced a fun mode for me that sounds probably the best element of the roadmap for Year 2. Hear that, Stadia? Roadmap for Year 2. The Freelancer mode. So this is going to introduce roguelike elements, which require strategic planning. You have a customizable safe house in the game. You set your attire, you pick your weapons. Similar to, at the moment, you pick your layout before you go into a mission. This one is very much, you are living that assassin life. So you have to buy your weapons, retain your weapons, take them back to the safe house. Anything you leave behind on the map, you can't just start off with a rocket launcher. You have to go acquire a rocket launcher from in-game. So there'll be people scattered throughout these levels. So you'll obviously unlock certain guns and tools and stuff as you go through the levels. But yeah, you can only carry so much. You can only take so much in and out of these worlds. And essentially, you are almost living the assassin life. So the contracts are going to come up on a weekly basis. They're going to rotate around. You're going to get rewards and payouts for successfully completing the missions. And then you can go back and you can customize your house. You can edit the I don't know if they've said it to a degree if you can do actual wallpaper and stuff, but the video trailer showed off does show the house moving around and different rooms of the apartment unlock, which I'm guessing is going to be your weapons hold and your secret lounge and your chill out area and your fancy kitchen. I'm not too sure, but essentially it's taking the Hitman formula and applying it to a weekly rotation of contracts.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
But you can make your own. Maybe you
It
can even
sounds-
give
it sounds
Agent
pretty
47
cool,
some hair.
Yeah.
Whack a wig on the guy.
It'd look weird. It'd look just like he's wearing a bad wig.
It would as well. But I like the thought of like nothing carries over. It is kind of like you're living his life without like the game elements of you just pop in and go, oh, I'll start this mission with a shuriken.
I'm renting my items.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing as you do complete more contracts, you get more money, so you can then rent your items.
Yeah,
is it like you put a deposit down on like, oh, he's a shotgun, I put a deposit down on my shotgun, when I bring it back I get the money back?
I'm not sure. You might not even be able to afford the shotgun until you actually get some credits.
Bank. I picked a random. It could have been a spoon. I have to rent the spoon.
Kill someone with a spoon. But yeah, so interesting. That's the freelancer mode coming in spring. And then they also did mention throughout it that, which we will touch on, I guess. It was touched on the article, so I guess we'll cover it. They did announce a Hitman trilogy, which is like the collection of all 3 games in the world of assassination bundled together. Not coming to Stadia, but at the same time, I can see why. I don't think there's any game on the Stadia storefront that's in an actual bundle of titles together. They're all just individual, from what I recall. And if we remember, Square Enix did this with Tomb Raider. They brought up the Survivor trilogy, which was all 3 reboot games packaged in one thing. I think it was like last spring. Never came to Stadia, but all 3 games are there to purchase and they're frequently on sale, but they just didn't get kind of a bundle selection.
Yeah, I mean, this might be something like Stadia, as more of these bundles come, like, could add. Because even Borderlands, there's rumours of like Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
And potentially the Handsome Jack collection could come.
Prequel one as well, pre-sequel. But again, it's weird more so with Hitman because the games all run from the same in-game storefront engine, right? The world of assassination is in Hitman 3. It has 2 and 1 incorporated into it already. So is this just a cover art package over the front of what essentially is Hitman 3?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's just a way of selling you the stuff that's already there.
It's all marketing, Richie.
Yeah.
It's all marketing and roadmaps, which we've told you are key. They did mention the PC version will be getting ray tracing and variable rate shading, which is going to be the new key buzzword, I think, for this year, alongside ray tracing. Not confirmed for Stadia, just like none of this was. In all honesty, none of this had a logo on it. So, but as a fan of Hitman and as a fan of Stadia, I can't imagine this game gets left in the dark with DLC. But we'll have to wait and see. I do like Hitman. I really wish I had more time for it.
I wish I had the time and the patience to get good at it, because it's one of them games where I think it'd be really fun if you're good at it.
Mm-hmm. We always have a great time playing it.
Yeah.
Don't do too good on it, but we have a great time playing it.
Yeah.
So yes, that is from Stadia Source. Next story of the week. Ubisoft announced, not part of a Ubisoft Forward or anything, but they announced back in 2018 we would see a new version of the long franchise Settlers games. And they've finally confirmed that there will be an open beta for their new iteration of the Settlers. So some of you may be familiar with this title. Of course, 7 iterations already out there in the wild. It's been a franchise going on for pretty much 30 years now. And this is a new entry into the series. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Settlers game, I'd like to consider it as something akin to Age of Empires, where you build up your kind of your settlement. I was going to say a town then, but it's called the settlement.
That's probably how it started. Without looking too much into the history, I wouldn't be surprised if, with how big Age of Empires 2's got, Ubisoft went, we need something like that. And that was the Settlers was what they made. Yeah,
completely. It's essentially a city town building real-time strategy where you kind of build up your economy, you build up your armies, and try and take over the area. The last game Ubisoft actually put out from this was the Settlers 7 in 2010. So we're actually 12 years past the last iteration. So the Ubisoft are clearly doing what Ubisoft do and leaning on franchise of old to kind of spark some new life with a known property. They've rebranded it just the Settlers, so there's no 8 attached to this one. It's a Ubisoft original, apparently, even though it's the 8th iteration. It's an original, but I get what they're going with that, like that new branding. And the biggest question, I guess, on everyone's lips, Richie, is will it come to Stadia? And this game, as it stands, is only supposed to be on PC. So it's the beta is coming to the Epic Games Store and Ubisoft Connect. mouse and keyboard. We've got a thing where a lot of Ubisoft games, if not most Ubisoft games, come to Google Stadia. It has mouse and keyboard compatibility. However, we know one of Stadia's little rules is that it must also function with controller for it to be playable. Is this where we need to see them change direction a little bit in 2022 and say, you know what?
I don't think it should have been a rule in the first place. What I think they should do is just mark games with what controllers are compatible with if they're not don't have full compatibility. So if something is compatible only with mouse and keyboard, have a little icon on the thumbnail in the store, so it's nice and obvious, and then you have it in the description as well. Go, this is only compatible. What I'd do is I'd just have a very simple, like almost just one line outline of like a mouse and keyboard. What the same for controller to show us compatibility, so you could tell compatibility at a glance for every single game in the store.
Yeah.
But Stadia has an opportunity to take on PC style games and bring them into people who don't have gaming PCs, who might have a Chromebook. So, but if you're having this controller only, it has to have controller support in games. You're just locking yourself out of a load of titles.
Yeah. Why
for no benefit?
Like you said, what is to stop it? Me going, oh, there's the Settlers to pre-order on the Stadia store. Pre-order now, and it goes, warning: this game is only playable with mouse and keyboard. Okay, I've agreed. I've agreed to that before my purchase. And then again, when the game launches, boot up. All you need to do is drop a little message in there that says, "Please be aware, this game is only playable via keyboard and mouse." Okay.
And you know what you could also do?
Solved.
Great idea for Google. Bring out a Wi-Fi mouse and keyboard that can connect it to Stadia services. Basically, take the tech out of your Stadia controller, put the mouse and keyboard, but then can also has like things like Bluetooth or wired into like your Chromebook. You could launch this as a new product that isn't just for Stadia, but that works with Stadia as well.
Ooh, could you imagine a little wasabi mouse?
Yeah.
Or a clearly white keyboard. It wouldn't need to be a full keyboard. It could be like one of those tiny little gamer keyboards.
Yeah. Well, that's it. The 10 keyless ones.
Yeah, definitely.
Where you just basically where you take where your enter key and your F12 is and just cut it off everything to the right of it.
Chop away the crap. Who needs the comma key?
Yeah.
Come
so
on,
those who want to play like mouse and keyboard games on the TV in the living room because they got a Chromecast can. I've seen people ask for what like Stadia compatible is a way of using a mouse and keyboard on Stadia through a Chromecast.
Indeed.
Just make it happen.
Yeah, one of the best things I used to do when we were in college was plug my laptop via HDMI into my big screen TV, my like 40-inch, 50-inch, whatever Sony TV, and sit there with a wireless mouse and keyboard just laid on my bed, being lazy as shit, and just like clicking around and doing stuff through that. But back to the Settlers, Richie. I've never played the Settlers before, but I'm a huge fan of things like Age of Empires. I'm blanking now immediately on all the other Age of Mythology games. RTS in general, Populous, the beginning. Shout out to Populous. Games like of that kin. Caesar 3. Yeah. I think I had Caesar 3, which was one of those sold out titles that you'd get from Wilkinson's on the little bit of bargain bins rack. Yeah. It's good that it's getting a reboot. It has my interest because of the reboot. I'm not aware of the franchise prior. I'm sure lots of our audience out there thinking, how have you not heard of it? But it's one of those titles. How have they made it to 7 iterations?
I think we've both heard of it. We've both heard of it, but we've both never played it.
We were too busy playing Age of Empires.
Yeah, I played Age of Empires.
Which has just had the 4th iteration come out from Xbox Studios. So there's a demand for it. There's a reason for it. And I'd hate to think the fact that it's not controller compatible holds it back from an entire platform. Yeah. Be a shame. Give us touch input.
And again, this is a game that you're not competing against Microsoft and Sony for.
Yeah.
So you could realistically claim to be the best place to play the Settlers outside of PC.
Indeed.
So again, I think Ubisoft, you could get the idea over to Ubisoft because Ubisoft and Stadia seem to like each other.
Best pals.
You just need to make it happen.
But that again, I'd like to think those conversations are happening. Like, if it's controllers required, why is there not someone from the dev team or Ubisoft's team pushing back and saying, but why? Like, is there any repercussion if we put like that little warning label that I mentioned? No, probably not really. Then why can't we do it? Because like you said, Ubisoft will want this on the platform. I've got to imagine they want this on the platform at the moment. They want everything, and then that could be a good precedence for us getting games titles like Anon I know.
Yeah.
And 18, 19, whatever it's called. And probably many, many more. But yeah, we've looked at Humankind. We're going to be talking about 100 Days in just a moment. But make it happen. We talk about games. This could be something different that you can play on console that you just get in the cloud, where you don't need a top-end PC to leverage it. So
yeah, it strengthens your niche. Yeah, that's what we want to do.
Time will tell on the settlers. We'll see. A little update from the SkyClimbers team. Paratroop USA tweeted out this week thanking everybody for the support so far. Of course, SkyClimbers was a game that was very much kickstarted by the Stadia community. Got them into early access, got them onto the Stadia Makers program. And for anyone who's signed up, they've announced this week that you need to save the date, Richie, because we are setting 11th of the 11th, 2022 as a target launch date for early access. They did say it on Steam, though, however.
Yes, but they have clarified, as a couple of people asked them on Twitter, if it's coming to Stadia, and reading one of their responses now, Stadia release date will be announced soon as well, once we're rated by the IARC and have our store page set up. So it's a case of they haven't released the date on Stadia because they can't yet.
Yeah.
Once it's got this clarification, it'll come.
Yeah,
that's it.
We should reiterate as well, the SkyClimbers team have been very transparent with the Stadia community since the beginning.
Yeah.
I think they're very well aware that we, quote, the community, did a lot of stuff to kind of promote them and retweet and push them and compliment them and kind of hopefully drive them. And I'd hate to think they'd forget about us, our little old cloud community over here.
Yeah.
But no, hopefully, like you said, once it goes through all the ratings, I'm sure they'll tell us. But I know Tom's one of the Kickstarter people as well, so he's got early access, and we'll get some thoughts dropped in from him once it finally drops. But it's nice to see it ticking over. If you check out the Twitter feed, they usually do often drop new creatures. I think they just launched last week. You can buy SkyClimbers plushies from their Etsy store. So if you want a little fluffy dragon or a fluffy bear or gorilla, whatever the creatures are they've got in this world, get them in now. Fund them through different means, Richie. Like merch. Almost like a merch store. It's weird how every story we say this week kind of folds into the next one.
Yeah, it's almost as if like lots of companies are doing things that Stadia should be.
Also, maybe. Next story of the week, we did mention that Dirt 5 got an interesting price down on the Stadia store, where it was marked down as a sale to around about £18 for well over 12 months. That's been rectified now. It's actually finished the sale, so anyone who listened last week and thought, oh, don't worry, I've got a few months to sit back and contemplate purchasing Dirt at this amazing price, you missed out. You done did wrong. You missed it. Yeah. It's now back up to full price.
I mean, if there's a game you're interested in, it comes down to 18 price and you don't jump on it, you can't really blame anyone but yourself.
True. But yes, Dirt 5, we've got some feedback. The wonderful guys again over at Stadia Source did some digging, and they got a response regarding the update, because Dirt 5 has been criticised, quite rightly so, for not keeping the Stadia version of the title up to date in line with other platforms. They said, in regards to the latest patch, is they don't have an exact date, classic, but the patch will be available in early February. It will contain Wild Spirits, Supersize, and the Red Bull Revolutions content, and any free content that we've released between patch 4.02 and 6.03.
Ooh, that's a lot of patches as well.
Yes, so it's good news on the horizon for Dirt 5. However, should have probably been day and date with every other platform that people paid the same amount of money for.
My assumption here is they don't sell enough copies on Stadia to have a dedicated team working on patching the Stadia version. So they've just like once they've got other versions up to date and they've got a few people free, like push them on getting the Stadia patched. Yeah. So it's a shame. Again, Stadia's getting like a second class gaming platform, but
I mean, yeah, but can we blame them for doing it? We said this about Outriders earlier in the year. The pecking order is.
As much as I like Stadia, I am very, very aware that it doesn't shift as many copies of anything as other platforms, and money talks. Yeah, Codemasters only have so many people; they need to service their customers. Unfortunately, Stadia are at the back of the pack.
Yeah, and that kind of brings us on to the next two stories of the week, back to back, and that is Crow Team, developers for Serious Sam. They teased it a few weeks ago, and we covered it on the show. Something to do with ice. We didn't really know what it was. Well, since then, they've actually announced that Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem will arrive later this month with new enemies, new weapons, vehicles, and more. So, following on from all of the vague teasers over the winter period, it's a standalone expansions, which means you can purchase it outside of the Serious Sam 4 game. It includes some chillier action as Serious Sam journeys across the Russian wilderness in search for the traitorous General Brand, and after adventuring through 5 massive new missions across Arctic coastlines, desolate forests, abandoned villages, and a ghost town, players can expect new enemies and bosses described as some of the most advanced and intimidating creatures to grace the series to date, plus new weapons, with an experimental crossbow and some new vehicles like snowmobiles and towering mechs, and it will cost £17 on release later this month. However, Richie, not confirmed as coming to Stadia, and over on Twitter they specifically have said to one or two responses and replies, not at this time, or not yet. Which, I don't know if there's an extra caveat to this, because Serious Sam last year was exclusive to Stadia. Remember when they announced it, they said it's coming to Stadia. It's one of the first to Stadia games, and they exclusive, and they touted that this type of game could only be done in the cloud because of the sheer amount of bad guys on the screen. I did a first look; it's on the channel of Serious Sam. I had fun with it, but it didn't do anything special. And now here we are a year later, and their standalone content has not even been confirmed for the platform.
They've went from towing their full marketing execs line of this can only be done on the cloud, where everyone's like, really? But it's like, this clearly can be done elsewhere. And to ending the timed exclusivity to now bringing out an update to that game, or it's almost a standalone spin-off, really, in some ways, by the way to describe it, and not confirming whether it's coming to the platform. They're not saying it won't, but I'm guessing it's not high up in the priority list. Yeah.
At all. If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the fact it's standalone. It doesn't have the 4 in the title. I feel like they're trying to just recoup some of the losses. So they've got the engine, they've got the assets, whack a snow skin on everything, add a couple of
rather than
new
making
things
this
in.
DLC for Serious Sam 4, it's like someone's probably went, if we just release this as a standalone like mini game in the Serious Sam universe, then any like contractual obligations to Stadia probably don't apply.
Yeah, I mean, and you get a new marketing push again. You get some more brand. You get to brand everything in blue instead of red for a change because it's cold and icy, and it's going out on Steam and probably other platforms. So again, no word on the Stadia front, but that just goes back to everyone's wishes at the beginning of the show. Why, like, is this a trend in 2022? And you wonder why people out there, rightly so, are getting cold feet when, if DLC isn't even coming, if patches aren't even coming, we've got no announcements. Is it any surprise? Yeah. Is it any surprise? I don't know if we covered it as well, but again, kind of gets to fold into this story. Monster Energy Supercross 5 was also announced, I think, a few weeks ago. We didn't pick it up on the show, but I saw a few things on my Twitter feed this week. I think they put out a trailer or an announcement to kind of push it a little bit more, maybe. I think it was announced at like a motocross event, so it wasn't really picked up by the games industry at large. Even when you search for it in the Google search, it doesn't bring that many articles back, but it has been announced. Coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X, and Steam later this year. Pre-orders are in fact available now. It's more motocross action. It's more energy drinks with all the sugar that you can imagine for. But the reason I wanted to bring it up and fold it in with the story we're just discussing, the Serious Sam stuff, the Dirt 5 updates, is we've had Motocross 3 and 4 consecutively on the platform, and now 5 apparently it ain't coming, or it's not coming as of yet. And this kind of goes in line with, I think, what we've mentioned on other episodes of the podcast, but is this a trend going into 22? We've got no Football Manager 2020, we've got no NBA 2K22, no Formula 1 2021. Grid Legends comes out next month.
I mean, Football Manager threw the lot in with Microsoft, so
that's true.
I think that's why. I think the guys at Football Manager, I think it's Sega. I can't remember the name of the studio, but it's a Sega-owned studio. I think they looked at Stadia initially as, if this goes big, this is where we can get Football Manager to the masses and get it into more people's hands. And then Stadia didn't blow up the way they were expecting, and then Microsoft went, come hang out with us.
Not on PlayStation, which should point out as well, Football Manager. Which
Well,
has been
football.
the past.
It's Football Manager is xCloud. It's not. I don't think you can get it on the series. I might be wrong, but I don't think you can get it on the Series
I'm
X.
sure I read an article saying the weirdest studio in terms of their output, because they bring one out on PlayStation, not on Xbox, then one on PC, then not on there, and then now they're in bed with Xbox and not coming to PlayStation. They kind of like rotate their platforms every other year.
Yeah.
Which is an odd approach to make, but
These an Xbox edition. I was wrong.
yeah, nonetheless, but an odd one. So I don't want to spend too long on this, but it does feel like there's a narrative building, and until we hear otherwise,
it's a narrative that's
happens.
actually been building for a little while. This it kind of goes back to last summer, and we've mentioned them games individually. Mm-hmm. But we've never kind of put a whole thing together in a show. Oh, look at all these games that aren't coming, that have had previous iterations. Mm-hmm. But we
could though, but we won't do that just yet, because there's much more to cover in this week's episode. Some more news though coming out of. Speaking of Settlers, I like this episode, Richie, and how everything just kind of flows narratively into each other. Humankind, the top-down RTS, build your own civilization society kind of game, very similar to the Settlers, which we discussed earlier on, has got some new content DLC covered. The Cultures of Africa DLC has been unveiled, not sticking with your traditional cultures. They brought out some new extra ones. I'll just go through some of the eras actually. Era 1, Bantu. The Bantu expansion is a postulated series of major migrations of the original Natu-speaking group from Central West Africa across the subterranean Sahara. Start with that one. Don't know what that means. Era 2, the Garamentes, I want to say, Richie. Apologies for any mispronunciation. No idea. Swahili, Maasai, Ethiopians and Nigerians, covering a wide range of cultures, civilizations, different technologies that they're going to bring to it for things like their armies, their agriculture work, the way they mine and such, things they can create, discover new worlds. And 5 new wonders are coming: Mount Kilimanjaro, Victoria Falls, Zuma Rock, Lake Natron, and the Great Mosque of Dijen, all coming to Humankind. Nice to see that's getting some expansion. It's always nice to see more civilizations added to it. Again, little caveat, not confirmed for the Stadia version yet, but Humankind hasn't had an update, I think, in a while, and I think its next one is actually due on Stadia in April.
Well,
so
the last update for Humankind was Direct Touch, so the last update was for Stadia specifically.
True.
So I think this will probably come. It should come.
I mean, it's a weird package because kind of with the way Stadia finds itself in this weird place now, where if you're a consumer and you buy a game, right? And then where in the contract does it say that the DLC should come as well? Because surely you've bought the game expecting any further content and updates to legally come with your purchase. Or do you think this is one of them in the small print somewhere it's going to specify?
If I'm working with someone on a contract, I would never assume anything. If it's not in the contract, it's not legally binding. It's when you hear, let's go back to football, for example. Like back in the summer when Harry Kane went to leave Tottenham, it's like, the handshake agreement means absolute fuck all.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's not in your contract. It doesn't exist.
That's true. I am confident with this one.
I'm confident because the thing is that they're sure that they're willing to continue to support in Stadia with things like Direct Touch. I would expect it. Yeah, I'd expect this to come.
It's more, if anything, is it just at that point where they're doing it because they feel like they have to rather than they want to? Because this Cultures of Africa drops for £6.99, $8.99 on Steam, Microsoft and Epic on the 20th of January. That's only 4 days away from today, Richie. Is this going to drop on Stadia this week, or are we going to be waiting until the April update, which will be far, far past the point?
I think unfortunately, what I think we're going to be finding this year is, if something like this comes to Stadia, it will come when it's ready, when the team are ready. But they'll be focusing on. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to delay launching this on Steam in order so Stadia can be in line. They're going to go, right, it's ready to go on Steam. get it launched, then we'll start working on the Stadia port.
Agreed, which is probably going to be the case for a little while longer.
However, but then things like bug fixes and stuff will probably go, put the Stadia port on hold, you need to fix this.
Yeah.
Then go back to it when you got time. I do think, unfortunately, that's the situation. I think a lot of developers will be looking at Stadia. It's like, we're happy to keep supporting it, we want to keep supporting it, but other platforms have to come first.
Yeah, I completely agree. But you mentioned a great point there with the direct touch input, which brings us on to one of our final stories of the week. It was certified earlier in, actually at the end of last year. It's finally happened. To direct touch for 100 days. Winemaking simulator is available now. I played some of it on my phone this week. Of course, I didn't do the first look with you and Tom where you popped open a bottle of wine and made your vineyard. But I jumped in. I made some... what did I call it? I did 2 bottles. I think I called it Helix something for the first one, and the second one I called it WineQuest.
WineQuest.
WineQuest was my second bottle, and it was in a green bottle as well, because of course that's what you had to do. And the touch input works great. If you've not checked it out yet, I jumped on my Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, so quite a large display. A lot of it worked really, really great. The nice drag and drop, the rotate feature when you're dropping like your orchard pieces in and your irrigation and such. The only thing I would say is when you get your little notifications, Richie, in the top right, which says like someone wants to buy some wine or you've got a visitor or something like that. The close box window was a little bit too small on my phone, but that's just probably more of an optimization for screen real estate.
I found I had a similar issue when I played Humankind with direct touch, where the UI scaling, because it's just scaling the UI from what it would be like on any screen down to a phone, but that means a lot of elements become really small, where you kind of want them to, you know what, there's a minimum size the UI should be.
Yeah.
But I think if you played on your tablet, you'd have a much better experience.
Indeed. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it worked perfectly fine. It was just when I was trying to tap it, I found myself a lot of the time opening up the notification rather than closing it down, which made me have to go back in and, again, it added like 1 or 2 steps.
You need a stylus. I've
got one right here.
Yeah.
But it works really well. We should point out as well, though, in the Twitter thread from one of the devs, he did say they went the extra mile and included a special setting that will change the UI to a more friendly mobile interface.
So it's probably something he's aware of.
Yeah.
Then.
Oh yeah. I mean, they've tested it all over Christmas now, but it's available. It works fantastically, and again, it just feeds back into our previous conversations that actually, if you brought the settlers over and had direct touch input, it can work. You just need to just tell the people buying it that, guess what, your controller won't work this time. Don't buy it if you're one of these hardened controller enthusiasts who cannot play a game not using a controller.
But then why are you playing a real-time strategy?
Yeah, exactly. So just open the market up. Right, final 2 stories for the week, Richie. Really quick 2 here. We've got Take-Two, owners of Rockstar and many, many other big studios and many, many large IP, have reached an agreement to acquire Zynga, the creators of Farmville, I think, are the only ones. But more importantly,
they've made a lot of the mobile game developers.
Yeah, of course. They've got a lot of titles, such as Harry Potter Puzzles and Spells, Empires and Puzzles, Merge Dragons. Again, stuff that I don't play or I've heard of before. I have heard of Farmville, however, and they've acquired them for $12.7 billion.
Yeah, Zynga are one of the mobile developers that you've actually heard of.
Oh yeah, Zynga, like PopCap, I think.
PopCap's owned by Microsoft, I think.
I thought it might be EA. EA
might be. It's one of them.
I know EA bought one of them, but essentially, Farmville, love it or take it. It's crazy, but when we talk about money in the games industry, $12.7 billion, Richie. To put that into context, ladies and gentlemen, Disney bought Star Wars for $4.
Yeah.
So Take-Two just paid triple for the people who made Farmville than Disney paid for the entirety of Star Wars. What?
Mobile gaming's a huge business. Like,
just a bit.
Like, as someone who just has no interest in gaming on my phone from the majority of the times, like, I am guilty of forgetting how many people do just play casually so much, but will spend money. Mm-hmm. But it's when you see that number, it's like, it's big. It's really, really big.
It's obscene amounts of money. Which,
Yeah.
to bring the episode full circle, Richie, how can Take-Two spend 12.7 billion on a mobile game, Farmville creators?
I mean,
and
they'll make
yet-
the money back.
I mean, yeah.
That's
But Google can spend how much on Stadia? Their prime gaming platform. They've apparently committed to. Get your wallet out, Stadia, Google,
Now,
Alphabet.
I think it's worth quickly touching on things like Zynga, one of the perpetrators of mobile game monetization strategies.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be too worried about this. I think this is just Take-Two bulking out their mobile developer the mobile game side of the business.
Mm-hmm.
If it was the other way around and Zynga bought Take-Two, I'd be more concerned.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. I honestly think this is just, we're buying this because we've got the money. The money sat there in the bank. We'll buy them, and we'll just make money.
It's an investment.
I don't think this will affect too much Take-Two's console things.
It'll be interesting because I saw people curious about because within the investor call they also said about like bringing franchise and stuff, and people think, we're going to get Grand Theft Auto on mobile, and then the reality is they're already there. You can already play Grand Theft Auto through the Android and iOS store.
But
what does this mean?
This
for
might
the franchise?
it might facilitate stuff like that. Yeah, we're going to bring Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to probably be ported by a Zynga studio.
Yeah, they mentioned Midnight Club as well as like a relevant IP, and I was like, no one cares about Midnight Club now. It's like 10, 15 years since you put out a game. But yeah, I very much like you, Richie. I think this is just an investment thing where if they've got the funds, they can buy it and just grow and make more money. The rich get richer, as they say. The rich get richer.
I don't think if you're playing Take-Two games, like playing Zynga games, I don't think this acquisition is going to change anything about either experience.
No, not at all.
I might be wrong, but who knows?
Not at all. But we should point out as well, though, this is the largest transaction within the video games industry to date. To clue some other ones in, Tencent. We know about Tencent. We spoke about them many times. Buying up people left, right, and centre. They bought Supercell, who were the guys who made Clash of Clans on mobile. They bought those for 8.6 billion. And then prior to that, Microsoft bought ZeniMax and Bethesda for 7.5 billion.
I always just assumed things like Clash of Clans were just a marketing campaign and
it didn't
actually
exist.
played them.
Yeah, it didn't
But
exist.
I knew there was a game there, but I was like, I've never encountered anyone in my life who plays Clash of Clans.
No. I get adverts all the time, but I've never played them.
God, yeah.
It's that guy with the blonde mustache, right? Running around with bombs and chased by a skeleton.
I've seen so many YouTubers advertise them, and I'm sure the YouTuber will play it for like a week.
Yeah.
Because they're probably contractually obliged to.
Yeah. If you want to get in with a hip new game, Clash of Clans, just search in the box below. Clash 52 is the code for free skeleton bombs.
We're not down with the kids, Chris. We're not cool.
And you know what? Neither is a lot of the Stadia demographic. But honestly, when you're talking about numbers like this, it does make you think. Like to put a positive kind of spin on the end of the episode, Richie.
Yeah.
Google can see how much this industry is worth. Anyone with a slight clue of economics or finances can see how much this industry is worth. Zynga's shares went up 40% after this acquisition. Imagine having shares in them and looking at your Robinhood app or whatever stock prices app you've got. That's an insane rise. And yeah, video games, we've said it time and time before on this show, video games, the industry as a whole is only going to get bigger.
I wouldn't be surprised though if that share price did drop back down to reasonable levels.
Always do, yeah.
Because this is just oh my god, Zynga, something big's happening around Zynga. Oh, it's Take-Two. It's genuinely more of a positive news. It's not like they're in trouble with anything. It's like buy, and that pushes the share price up.
Yeah, naturally, right. The rise and fall of the stocks and shares. But again, whatever Google are up to with Stadia, they clearly don't invest half as much as these other players clearly do in the market and the industry. But this is why people who say, I think it's going to shutter, they're going to close stuff down, I don't think they will, because they want a piece of this pie, and they're doing a terrible job of it in terms of competition and fanfare and consumerism and stuff. But we're only 2.5 years in, so see it out.
Google, I think they need a solid internal strategy meeting and go, how do we make Stadia relevant again? Because Stadia was relevant when it came out. Mm-hmm. It's no longer relevant in the gaming industry, unfortunately.
And they've done that
That's themselves. A harsh assessment, but yeah, it's like, what went wrong? Why did it go wrong? How do we bring this back?
Yeah, and you can bring it back, because the final story for the week, Richie,
get the games,
is PUBG. After going free, which we mentioned right at the top of the show as part of the Stadia blog, they've nearly doubled their concurrent player count. So looking at Steam numbers, they've shot up to nearly 668,000 concurrent players on Steam, which is a massive shift. It may rejuvenate the franchise, it may be what it's needed, but it just shows you that when you look like you're down and out, you can always bring it around by going free to play, which Stadia is already free to play.
I think I predicted this might happen, you know. I think when we first heard the news, I think I might have called it because, well, how many people have looked at PUBG and went, I'm interested in playing that, but it's got a price, it's pay gated, I'm going to play Fortnite, I'm going to play Call of Duty, which aren't. Exactly. And now they've gone, oh, it's free to play. It's time to give it a go.
It is indeed.
So a lot of these players will get it, play for a little bit and bounce. Some of them will stay though.
Yeah, some of them will get that scratch. They'll buy in, and this is why we talk about Stadia. The game's free to play, the platform's free to get into, but there's no marketing around it.
Yeah.
So everyone else is going to go try it on their PlayStation. That costs them £300-400.
Everyone's trying it on Steam.
Yeah. Well, that's where the numbers are. And why are they playing it there? Steam's concurrent numbers, I think, are bigger. I think I saw a report this week saying Steam's players' numbers are higher than ever before as well. I think God of War just released on PC this last week, and that's got 60,000+ concurrent for a single-player game, which is crazy. And of course, God of War is amazing, so why wouldn't there be?
I mean, there's a lot of PC players, like the PC Master Race, looking at God of War and went, that's a really cool game.
And now
it's not worth me buying a PlayStation just for one game. Oh, it's here. Yes, let's play.
Yeah, let's play. And of course, the cloud alleviates that as well. So not that we'd ever see it come across, but the future, it's always going to be just out of reach. But you know what? With clear marketing, a roadmap, titles in the pipeline, people can get excited about it. Just like you should be excited for our episode of SideQuest, which will be dropping to our lovely members this very day of recording on Sunday, actually. 99p, you can support the channel a little bit more and get content early. Richie, this week we're talking about, remind the lovely people.
We are talking about Square Enix, which is an episode I'm really looking forward to because I like Square Enix. They have some really cool titles.
Yes, they do, and we'll be talking about that and why Stadia should lock down Square Enix for 2022. If you've not checked out last week's episode where we talked about them locking down even more games coming from WB, go check that out. It's available now. Tune in this next week for our first look and our exciting jump in with the community of Rainbow Six Extraction right here on youtube.com/Helix Cloud Games. But that's it for episode 121 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Thank you everyone for tuning in this week. My name's been Chris.
I've been Richie.
We've been Helix Cloud Games. Don't forget folks, play whatever makes you the happiest. Have a great week and we'll see you in the cloud. Goodbye.